Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. Before we start, I just want to say that I thought I did all right with Super Helmets of the Month, but once I've pressed send on my camera, it's out my hands what happens. And number 6 were missing on it. If you go and look, at the end, there were I don't know what that song was when we're driving. That was on too long, and the music in the background were too loud, wasn't it? But you know, I keep trying to evolve. I keep trying different things, but it's hard to communicate with people who don't want you in their office, or they don't want to come to my office because of COVID. So we're having to do everything by WhatsApp and phone calls, and rendering videos takes 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. Then it's got to be done again if you're not happy. So I just put it out and never checked it. So, but what I won't have are people sending vileness, utter vileness. If you don't like it, don't watch. For example, I used to go to my mates on a Sunday, and his mum and dad used to watch Songs of Praise on a Sunday about 6 o'clock. I didn't like it, so I didn't watch it. So if you don't like it, don't watch it, all right? But do apologise that number 6 were missing, and there were a bit of music in the background. Anyway, that's that dealt with now. On to bigger and better things. I've just been with Dripping Tap since 8 o'clock in Wakefield.
Have you? How come?
I'll pop over and see him a couple of times a week. He's all right, like the Dripping Tap. He's a bit of a character. I like him. I like characters, don't I, mate?
Yeah, true.
He's done well
yourself.
Yeah. He's done well for himself, old Dripping. He's a right grafter. But I like to go over and see him and have a crack. And just getting back here from over Emsworth. So just managed to get back to Rotherham now. So it took me about 50 minutes, traffic. How are you doing, Rico? Are you okay?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah.
The game has been changed in boxing, so I'm excited.
Well, what with game?
The game has been changed, hasn't it?
Amino acids. Yeah, the game has changed a lot. They've got Mayor Jammer there introducing Tommy McCartney as Paul McCartney. Is that the lead singer of Wings, is it? Or Beatles?
I think Paul McCartney was Beatles, yeah.
In Wings, though, he had a group called Wings as well, didn't he?
It's more your age group, Ross. I wouldn't know this stuff.
Yeah. Laura Woods is pretty good at her job, isn't she?
Yeah, but look, she's been at TalkSport for years, so she knows sports, and she's been covering sports. I think she started Sky Sports years ago, so she knows the Hearns well. But you know, she's been doing all that football stuff for TalkSport and been on television before. So, whereas Maya Jammer's just a funny entertainment presenter that's there for people to look at more than anything else. I don't really understand why she got the job in the first place. She's not particularly gifted as a presenter, and I don't think she seems that comfortable in terms of doing the role. So it's not really, I think it's more this celebrity aspect of boxing where they want to get these well-known figures there to mingle with these people are paying $750 for seats and £6 for slice of pizza, rather than actually doing it for the fans.
Do you feel that Big Dossa Femi is coshing window wiper into Mayor Jammer?
No, she's engaged to Ben Simmons.
That don't mean anything in boxing, Rico.
But he's an NBA player. He'll make more money than Joshua. So, you know.
So he's doing pole vault on her on a night time, is he?
Whenever he's in the UK, but I don't think he's here quite often. He's an Australian guy, isn't he?
So they spend a lot of time apart, do they?
I think so.
She probably needs time to recover. Oh, fuzzy britches. What do you think to all the dressing it up and all that, the Eddie Hearn reality show and the following him around with a camera? And I've noticed he's had another session on Earth thing, hasn't he? You see, where Eddie slips up, he has a touch on his hair every now and then he tells people he can't hold his own water, can he?
think he wants to tell people so that people don't point it out.
Well, Eddie, you look great. Eddie, your hair looks like fucking barley.
I imagine Dave Caldwell sending him messages saying how great his hair looks on telly while he's on telly.
Dave Caldwell, come see me. Do you know what? There were a list of athletes on this list. Let me get it up on my phone. I'll send you it in a minute. There's a list of athletes on this list, and there's Caldwell's name on it with all these other athletes for this company or something. And I'm thinking, well, what has Caldwell done as an athlete? But he's signed up with this whatever agency or something. I don't know. Look, people can put themselves into situations they think they're more important, can't they? But the bottom line is this: there's too many people blagging it in the sport of boxing and getting places where there's other people who I think are fantastic trainers and they're not getting a look in. Why is that, Riku? Is it because a lot of trainers have a lot of pride about themselves? They don't want to be seen to be arse-licking the certain in crowd. Do you think that's it?
Well, I think that's part of it. Also, if you're training, you have to align yourself to Matchroom or Queensbury, don't you? So a lot of these people just want to train fighters and not be involved in politics. And if you want to be training certain fighters that are signed by certain promoters, you have to align with them and you have to be bringing all your trainers in there. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, sorry, go on, Rico, you were saying.
No, I think, look, there's a lot of good trainers in this country and a lot of trainers that aren't getting a living, but I think fighters are being coerced as well, partly when they sign with Matchroom or Queensbury to go with certain trainers, and that's why the top end of fighters end up at certain trainers. And also a lot of these trainers that are so-called experts or the best trainers in the country, they do a lot of PR as well. So there'll be an IFL and they'll be telling everybody how good they are, and they'll be priming people to join them. For example, Boxercise Ben, who's commenting on fights on Frank Warren shows and using that as a way to advertise his own services.
Do you feel that Ben Davidson warrants a mention for Ring Magazine Trainer at Year because he won a regular WBA belt with Lee Wood, who we didn't have from scratch? Does that warrant a Ring Magazine Trainer at Year nomination for the Boxercise one?
No, look, there's been a lot of upsets in the last year. So winning that, and then obviously unification win against the unification fight win with Josh Taylor, which was sort of a 50-50 fight. So I don't think that warrants anything. I mean, it warrants credit, but I'm not saying it warrants a trainer of the year thing, because how does that make you the best trainer when you winning with a champion and then you upsetting the apple cart once? I think you need more. I think if you would have won, if you would have trained another champion to win a fight, let's say Isaac Lowe, if he got a fight and he were to win a world title, then yeah, maybe you can mention it.
Do you feel that Ben Davidson, jury's still out on him regarding him being a top trainer?
Well, look, he's clearly a good trainer, but it's more a case of, if I get handed all the best fighters, then does that make me a good trainer? You look at somebody like Shane McGuigan, at least he's done it from a relatively early age with Carl Frampton. He took Josh Taylor. Yeah, Groves. He took Josh Taylor. Yeah, Groves as well towards the end of his career, but he took Josh Taylor to the heights that he's at. So, somebody like Shane McGuigan, we can't really question his resume, whereas with Ben Davidson, which guys has he taken?
Do you think that Shane's the number one at the moment? Because it's looking like it's going to be these two that are going to be going at it for top dog position, isn't it, over the next so many years? Do you think Shane's the top dog at the moment?
Just because he's young doesn't mean you the best trainer. You look at somebody like Joe Gallagher, he's
what about that age group? Yeah, Joe's already won Ring Magazine, hasn't he? And he's 49-0, then a 62-0 run he had, didn't he? I'm not on about Joe's age group. I'm on about these trainers that are that 30-year-old bracket type kind of thing.
No, I think Shane's the number one, but I think it's too early to say, right? If somebody from the Northeast comes and, you know, trains two world champions and they're 35 and they come out of nowhere, that's equally as impressive. I always think as a trainer, you're not competing against your own age group, you compete against every other trainer. You look at guys like Eddie Futch and others, they train them, and even guys like Manny Stewart, they trained until they late ages of their lives, didn't they? So you compete against those guys that have a lot more knowledge, not just the guys your same age.
Yeah. Okay. Lee Wood's performance, I take it you've seen highlights and that, have you?
I have seen the highlights. Yeah, I think he fought well, but I think Kanzu was massively underwhelming. He was not what it was made out to be, and I think Josh Warrington should have had him early, and that could have made all the difference.
What do you think about the sermons after and all that? Do you think that Lee Wood got a look in really with some of them interviews, or do you think that it's not his kind of thing?
I don't think it's his kind of thing, and he might do something later. You know, he probably just wants to go and celebrate it with his family and friends and be happy in Nottingham. I mean, it's not everybody's thing to do Sunday sermons right after a win and tell everybody how great you are.
Yeah.
Leave that to Ben Davidson.
Is Lee Wood a world champion?
Yeah.
Regular? Do we count that?
I'd say the difference between what I'd say is that he beat a legitimate guy, a guy that was actually seen as a world champion. It wasn't a vacant regular bout like Rocky Fielding.
Yeah. Do you feel, Rico, that we were sold Kanzu as this equivalent to Aneo, you know, the guy who's icing people, who iced Jamie McDonald? Do you feel that because he's a Chinaman, we were sold this as this roadman killer, and Josh Warrington kept saying, "Oh God, I want to fight that Kanzu. That'll be top off my career," and all this kind of thing. Do you feel that everybody got a little bit carried away with the hype with this Kanzu, and they'd never really seen him fight?
I agree. I mean, look, in his first 5 fights, he lost 2 of those, and then he went on a good run. And what Kanzu, I mean, he has 18 stoppages. Sorry, he has 18 wins, 3 which are stoppages. The thing about Kanzu, it's his work rate. So he's like a high output type of guy. And with those high output type of guys, there's always a way to beat them if you stop them from throwing the punches. So I think he was quite easy, you know, he was an easy guy to beat, but we had a good source of, you know, he was hyped up from every corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting time for Lee Wood now, because I see him getting the Warrington fight if Warrington loses against Lara. Do you? Yeah,
I think that will be a good fight.
In-house.
And even if Warrington wins, I think they can take it to Headley, can't they?
They'll get 2 out of it, won't they?
Yeah, they could do another sort of all British title fight in Leeds type of thing.
Do you think they'll do Josh Warrington fights Lee Wood? If he wins, they have another one. If Warrington loses, Lee Wood goes on to bigger and better things, do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lee Wood will end up fighting the winner of Galahad Dickens then, in that case.
What about
It's another way to keep the belts in-house, isn't it? It's all about keeping the belts in-house.
What do you think about the rumour doing the rounds that if Galahad Dickens is close, they're going to play it against Sam? What do you think to that?
I wouldn't be surprised. A trilogy.
God, we want to see that.
I'm not sure. MTK?
Oh, God. Who's pulling strings then, MTK or Eddie Hearn?
My sense is that Eddie's not too fussed about Galahad. He's more fussed about getting a title fight. And actually, who was it that won the purse bid for that fight initially?
Eamon.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? If Eddie was too fussed about that fight, he would have won the purse bid. So I think they just keeping that merry-go-round going, because if you can keep the titles between Warrington, Lee Wood, Galahad, and Jazza Dickens, You can have 2 titles between them. They don't have to fight against Navarrete, Gary Russell Jr., any of these other guys.
Yeah. Okay. What did you think to the intense beef with Barry McGuigan and Frampton?
Felt a bit staged for me.
Yeah, it did for me. They all seemed pally, didn't they?
Yeah, and it wasn't it wasn't a surprise that Frampton was going to show up. Like, somebody would have told Frampton showing up. Somebody's there with a camera at the left when Shane's walking there, and it's just another angle to sell the fight. But again, who sees these clips? Boxing fans. They're going to watch anyways.
What did you think about Billum Smith McCarthy? The actual fight. I know it was a split decision. And that I'm getting to Ian John Lewis. Does he need to fuck off out of boxing, Ian John Lewis? Because give me an ulcer.
Doesn't he have a new book out? The Referee or something? What a quote from Barry Hearn saying, "What a great man this is."
You know what? People keep saying to me, "Okay, you can't have a go at Ian John Lewis. It's great that ex-fighters are in the game refereeing." No, it isn't. Because ex-fighters refereeing know how the game fucking works, don't they? They know that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying they know to keep their own promoters happy, don't they? And there's too much of that going on for my liking at the moment. Every time Ian John Lewis's card or Terry O'Connor's comes in, we're holding our fucking breaths, aren't we? We just don't know what we're going to get, do we?
I don't think it matters whether you're an ex-fighter. You can either referee or you can't.
Yeah.
And you're either impartial or you aren't. It doesn't matter whether you force or not. And I think you're right. If you're ex-fighter, you're probably more likely to sway towards the in-house fighter.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It's just so disappointing. I did an interview with Andy Patterson yesterday, and he don't know what the answer is to it. I mean, we're going around in circles, aren't we? Do you know what? Ozzie Smith said this, and I agree with him. The UK, although I don't agree with Ozzie Smith on Conor Benn, but it's up for debate. The UK is now probably worse than Nevada and Sauerland shows in Germany and Denmark. Do you agree?
Yeah, and has been for the last few years.
5 years.
Exactly. I mean, the UK, you have to knock out the guy to get a draw, the home fighter. I mean, the UK, the scorecards, but we overlook it because we can always point a finger at abroad and say that's how boxing works. And these old cliches, you need to rip the belt out of the hand of the champions and all this other stuff. But you either score a fight fairly or you don't, right? You score what you see, or you score what you think the promoter wants you to score.
Yeah. But it's okay. Fury, Wilder 3. Does it happen, Rico?
No.
No, not at all, no.
No, can't see it happening.
Do you see Tyson Fury being parked up for a long time?
I see him retiring, saying boxing politics and, doing a book tour, or, he might start doing these John Fury type things where he's going around talking about his life and
going around telling lies.
Yeah, exactly. I see him.
Pop, pop, bang! Pop, pop, bang! Turn off a tear apart. Pop, pop, bang!
How do you see the DAZN second card going between Jazza Dickens and Kid Galahad? How do you see that fight going?
I like Jazza Dickens. Yozza, whatever you want to call him. Jazza, James Dickens. I like him, but he should have got disqualified against Josh Whale. That's a fact. But they bottled it, didn't they? The officials on the night. But I like him. He's had an hard upbringing. I just think he's a likable kid. I just like him. I like it. People like him and Derry Matthews. People like that. I like him. I'm not a Bellew fan, although he's his manager, isn't he? But I like Jazza, and I hope that he beats Galahad. I don't like Galahad. Don't know him, but I don't like him. So I'm just going to be honest. I hope he gets iced. but gets home safe to Dominic Ingle. But no, that's just my opinion, Rico. Some people conduct themselves outside at ring and it throws us off. It's a bit like years ago, they created all these characters with snooker. Some people like Alex Higgins, some people like Steve Davies. We all had a favourite, didn't we? And boxing's a little bit like that. And Gallard's not on my list of people that I want to cheer. I mean, I don't rush home and go, quick, we're all meeting at mine. We've got the beers in. Let's go. It's the Galahad fight on Sky. Nobody says that. You don't rush home to watch a Kid Galahad fight, do you? You go, are you watching boxing tonight? Yeah, what's on? Kid Galahad. You go, oh, I think I'll watch a film. That's just how it is. Yazza Dickens, yeah, I'll watch Yazza, but he's fighting Galahad, so I'll have to watch that fight. But if Galahad were fighting anybody else, I'd turn my TV off or shut the curtains if you're fighting at Garden. His style's awful. He does not engage. If he hits you with one jab, he gets on his bike for the rest of the round. To me, it's not boxing. He's a poor man's Andre Ward, but technically, he's very good within the rules. Technically, very, very good. And he knows that, but his style's awful. Doesn't sell a ticket. Not conducted himself very good outside boxing. And like I said, every time I watch him fight, it looks to me like some dogs come on my garden and had a shit. And then I've got to go clean it up. I don't want to watch him, but I will watch this one this weekend.
And how about Fabian Wardley against Nick Webb?
Wardley tears him a new arsehole.
Agreed.
And then who knows then? Dennis might put Nick Webb in with Dave Allen. Dave Allen versus Nick Webb, once and for all. The rematch or something like that. Two worlds collide. You know what I mean? Kebab shop versus a fish and chip shop. So that's how I look at it.
What about the Savage, Alan Babbage versus
the what? The Savage.
The Savage.
This is the first time the Savage fights anybody with a heartbeat. He'll get put into orbit. That's just how I feel. Dylan White only signed him because he gave him a good working over in sparring one day. Well, that says a lot for Dylan White. If Babix has gained him a seeing over in sparring, jeez, come on. Babix.
How about Muhammad Ali, aka Ebony Bridges versus Beck Connolly?
Muhammad Ali. Fucking hell.
What's your thoughts about Gareth A. Davis saying that Ebony Bridges is like the Muhammad Ali?
Have you got that video with him saying it? Have you got it on your phone, Rico?
I've got, yeah, I do.
Let me turn my phone on, see if I can get it on. Well, first of all, Gareth A. Davis, we aren't getting political or anything like that. Gareth A. Davis, to me, doesn't cover himself in glory when he's hanging around ring card girls and female fighters and female reporters.
Agreed.
All the time. He don't cover himself in glory, mate, does he?
No.
It reminds me of one of them frustrated dads who come to pick the daughters up from a disco and the 15 minutes earlier decide to go have a walk about and that. He reminds me of one of them going to pick his 16-year-old daughter up. But why he'd come out with this? Hang on, let me get it up. So look what we've got here. Oh, here we are. Let's get this up. Watch this. You want to have a laugh? Watch this. Look.
Watch out for Emily Bridges because she is potentially a Muhammad Ali for women's boxing. Why? Because she is a complete free spirit, like Muhammad Ali was. She can change the way society sees women boxers. The lingerie at weigh-ins, the posing, the total ownership of what her body is and what she's doing. Watch the space because she is a fascinating person in the sport of boxing. Watch out for Emily Bridges because she.
Right, what sort of man, right, comes out with that.
A man that's selling his soul for a pound note. And a creepy man as well. A creepy man.
Listen, mate, I'm not being funny, mate. He makes Creepy Bean, Adam Smith Rumpelstiltskin, look like Tom Cruise, mate. I'm not being funny, but Gareth A. Davies needs watching, mate. All you people who go to all these shows, what I want you to do, I want you to keep your eye on Gareth A. Davies all the time. Watch him. Watch what he does. These people, they can't help themselves. They're sneaky. They're cunning. Eventually, they get found out. But watch that man. Keep your eyes on him. He is very, very seedy. But keep watching him. If he's got a problem with that, come on here. If that's not seedy behaviour, I don't know what is. We know about the one where he was leaning over her, where she got a leg out of that. Look, she knows what she's doing, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. She does.
She's a pretty girl with a nice figure and big tits, right? That are fake anyway. And he's a dirty old man in his 50s. She knows what she's doing. She's palled up all the main media people. She knows how to play the game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She's been on all the right channels. I know two people that wanted her on their channel, and she went, "No, you don't do enough views." So already she's coming out with, she's playing the game, isn't she? How on earth this woman ended up in a world title fight, I don't know. I'm glad Shannon Courtney punched fuck out of her. People like Ebony Bridges are what's wrong with the sport of boxing. Do you know what I mean? She's probably a little slag anyway. Do you know what I mean? But everybody sees that and then they copy it, don't they? And what they do, they think, well, this is how to do it. You pal Coogan up, you pal all other five up, and then you say all right things, and then you get a few at mainstream media like the Gad on board, and then Bob's your uncle. I mean, for example, could you imagine Colin Hart coming out and doing something like that, or Pat Sheenan?
They wouldn't. Neither.
They won't. They won't do it, would they? They won't do it. The Gad needs watching because sooner or later, he's going to be ready for his next victim. And you know when he is? I'll be under that ice when it breaks, mate. I'll be waiting for the Gad. Oh, I'll be waiting for him, Rico. Because he is potentially a Cat A prisoner on remand for something very bad. I can see it. People might say, "Okay, you're out of order." I know what I'm looking at. I've been a rat. I've seen these people in jail over years. I know what they're like. They don't care. And for a man to come and do that after that Zoom thing and all the stick that they took going viral, then he comes out and does that. Fucking, has he lost his fucking mind? Has he lost his fucking mind, Dave? He's a bacon, mate. He's a full-on bacon. Anyway, moving on from the adventures of the Gad. What about Wilder? Eh? What next for Wilder, Rico?
I mean, I don't think the Fury fight's happening. I think if he's Wilder might fight against another PBC heavyweight, maybe somebody like Kalanius or Kowanaki or someone like that.
Yeah.
Because for him, it's if Fury vacates, he'll probably fight for vacant title. So that's going to be the plan. He won't be against the Can Man because the Can Man wouldn't fight against him.
Okay. Where does all this leave Dillian White, the Can Man? Where does it leave him now? I mean, he's in no man's land, isn't he? He can't go after Fury for a title. He can't go after Joshua. Who's the other belt? There's a WBA regular. Who's got that? Char.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Char next.
Char. Dillian White and against Char. Okay. And then, look, this is how I look at it, right? Dillian White has had ample opportunity to fight for a world title. I mean, he's supposed to be suing WBC, isn't he? Why don't he put screenshots on his social media?
He's the interim WBC belt holder at the moment, so it might be him against Wilder if he wants the full belt. If Wilder doesn't fight, or I don't know, he might fight against Parker or Andy Ruiz or something for pay-per-view.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward, Rico, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you see happening with Callum Johnson next? And he wants to fight, obviously, bouts or Joe Smith. What do you see happening for Callum next?
Yeah, I think if he goes up the WBO route, Joe Smith is the champion, so that could mean fighting against lots of different guys. You know, he could fight against maybe Maxim Vlasov, Lyndon Arthur, if that fight could be made. That could be sort of the fight if Callum Smith fights against Lyndon Arthur. That would be a great fight, I think. Manchester against Liverpool, all British fight, and then the winner fights against Joe Smith Jr.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. What do you think about Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard? Do you think they're going to fight again?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Team Yard wants that fight, if I'm being honest.
You think they're going to go in a different route?
Go down a different route. I mean, Arthur's #1 ranked for the WBO, so quite interested to see.
He won't want to risk it, will he, with Yard, will he?
No, and also I want to see how Frank actually moves Arthur, because you'd be wanting to get him into title shot as quick as possible.
It looks to me like it's gone a bit stale for Lyndon Arthur. Do you think after that good momentum?
Yeah, it has. How many months ago was that? That must have been 6-7 months ago.
More,
at least. Yeah, it was 8 months ago.
8 months ago, yeah. I think that Pat Barrett has done well for Lyndon Arthur, but like I just said there, he seems to be frozen out. But if he's #1, they're probably just going to be looking for a tick over to protect his position, aren't they? Do you think?
Yeah, he's still hovering on that British European level at the moment, so I'd like to see him step up, that we know what he's got left, because that Yard fight was fairly close and we never really know what Yard's level was. So how good is Lyndon Arthur? He can box, but it's a division where you need to be able to punch, so what can he do?
Where do you see Joshua Buatsi in this storyline, Rico?
Well, he's fighting against Bolotniks, isn't he? So that means that he'll go high up. He's quite highly ranked, so he could end up fighting against Bivol, I think. Him against Bivol would make sense for WBA. Yeah, it's an in-house fight, so I think if he wins, they need to move him on. It's been 5 years since, 4.5 years since he's turned over, so they need to do something, right? We can't wait forever for this prospect to have a world title fight. You look at what Shakur Stevenson's done in the same time.
Yeah, this 2016 lot need to get the skates on. I mean, fair enough, Akola's just got to Promised Land, hasn't he? But it took its time, didn't it, really, that way?
But he's the only one, isn't he?
Akola's the only one that's undefeated and won a world title. He's gone through everything at every level, but he hasn't set world on fire, has he?
No.
And you know, when people talk about Lawrence Akola, they don't say, quick, get that taxi booked. We need to get to the pub to watch the Akola fight. You don't hear people say that, do you?
I actually think he's changed his style quite a lot. He's more exciting and more aggressive, so he doesn't grab hold as much. So I think he's actually become more entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. Punditry at the moment, is it in dire straits in the UK, Rico?
I mean, he hasn't improved since the Sky days. If anything, I don't know whether it's got worse. It's too much cheerleading. No honesty, no real opinions. Everybody's rooting for their own guys. You'd be surprised if you'd even mention what the opponent is doing in some of these fights. It's all about the house fighter.
It's all about
talking.
Yeah, it's all about pop, pop, bang. Pop, pop, bang. That's what it's about. And chocolate biscuits. Okay. Tommy Fury, TNT. He nicked that off Tony Tucker, hasn't he? Tommy Fury's going to be fighting in America on a YouTuber undercard with a view to fighting one of the Paul brothers. What do you think to that? Is it about legacy for Tommy or money?
It's about money, and he's a celebrity fighter. I'd always thought it that way, and that's the way how he's been marketed. I don't think anybody can seriously assume that he's going to win a world title.
You can't
I
fight. You
understand
can't
why
fight
they-
anyway. You can't
No.
fight, mate. You can't fight. If he were any
I
good,
understand.
Peter would have kept him if he were any good. He were no good, mate.
I understand why they're doing it, because that's the way for him to make money. I reckon he'll fight against the Paul brothers, do a bit of YouTube circuit, and then retire, right? Capitalize on that fame that he got from Love Island.
Yeah, he's a good-looking lad, but he can't fight for toffee. But what about Sorry, where does this leave Bricktop in all this? Because he had plenty to say regarding Eddie Hearn with the working with YouTubers and things like that, and now, well, look what's happened with Bricktop now. He's coming to the party, isn't he?
Well, he's always late to the party. It was the same with female boxing,
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
got where he went and got Nicola Adams, and so I think he's just looking at his options at the moment. It's sort of, he's in limbo because of the whole BT thing. So
Yeah.
BT trying to sell their sporting assets, and that means that he's trying to keep his fighters busy, but also keep them engaged so they don't jump ship.
Yeah. Do you feel that 2 years from now, boxing could be in a bit of a tight spot here? It could be controlled by these YouTubers, that kind of thing, because there's a lot of people coming to the table now, like promoters and people. There's a bit of money spread about. I mean, look at that with Carl Froch and Roy Jones. They nearly got that over the line, didn't they? But they just didn't have the money. Do you feel that there's a lot of people trying to dislodge boxing at the moment?
Well, I think it's a sport that's basically losing its fan base, so they try new ideas. If you look at things like Triller coming in, which is mixing boxing with YouTube boxing and celebrity boxing, I think that's what they're doing, is effectively trying to get new fans or trying to get people that wouldn't buy pay-per-views. You can look at the pay-per-view numbers have declined massively since Mayweather's left the sports, and in general, UFC seems to be more popular as a sport than boxing is.
There's no big stars.
Yeah, exactly.
No stars. As we said that at the same time there, Rico. Great minds think alike, kid.
Exactly. And also the best fights are made. So if you can't make the best fights, if we're thinking about fights like Terence Crawford against Spence or Joshua against Tyson Fury, which other sport is there where the fans have to debate who's better because they don't see the best compete against the best? I can't think about many other sports, whether it be athletics, tennis, UFC, snooker, football. The best always face the best, but boxing's a sport of ambiguity, and I think fans want some sort of certainty.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward with boxing at the moment. But where do you see the Boxing Board of Control's role in all this now? I mean, sooner or later, they're going to have to start sanctioning fights where we've got YouTubers on and Board of Control fighters on undercard and comedians and rappers and all this. Do you see them getting involved with all this, a bit like Triller?
Wasn't there that thing which in the press release that Wasserman put out with Sky is that they're going to be working closely with the board? And I mean, I think some people speculated that means effectively that they'll be working closely to put on these hybrid events, because KSI is involved with Wasserman Boxing. So I imagine that will mean the board will sanction these type of events, maybe because that's the only way to bring revenue for these shows and, to keep their pockets lined up as well.
It's quite scary for me, Rico, because, I'm full on hardcore. I mean, people keep emailing me saying, okay, how can you be hardcore? You're trying to get Mickey Theo and John Fury at it. Well, they're not board registered fan, are they? They're not board registered. You know what I mean? And John Pruitt, we all know John Fury put a challenge out to any man over 50. Mickey accepted it. The rest is just bollocks, isn't it? But I don't want to see it. I don't want to see kids who are 5-0, 10-0, 12-0 miss out on opportunities after putting the hard graft in. and see these people just stroll up because they've been on a reality program and just get all cream at crop. I don't want to see that. I don't think it's fair. If Boot were on other foot, these people would be crying.
Well, I'll give you another perspective. I think it's these people that have amateur careers or 5 and 6 or 7 and 0. It's up to them to sell themselves and make themselves interesting enough that people want to pay. I mean, boxing's always been a sport where, you know, the fans pay the fighters. And if you're a guy that's 7 and 0 and you can be as talented as you want, but if you can't sell a ticket and nobody wants to invest in you, then you don't really have. It's a hobby. You just partake in a hobby that we are funding. So at the end of the day, you need to make yourself commercially viable enough, and that means coming on to Porky's Corner or other outlets talking about what you're doing, actually going out there and selling tickets, engaging with the community, putting out content which isn't just you punching a bag and running.
Yeah. Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk, 2 undefeated gold medal Olympians from London, 1 super heavyweight, 1 heavyweight. One's cleaned up at cruiserweight, other one's nearly cleaned up at heavyweight. They're going to do battle. Southpaw slickster against, well, robotic puncher type guy. Who wins?
I think Joshua's going to win the fight, to be honest. I think he's a bigger man. I think he's improved quite a bit. I think Usyk hasn't really impressed me massively since he's come into heavyweight. I think he's given away a lot of his advantages. But what I will say is, I've actually got tickets for the event, so I'm going to be going there. But what I will say is the whole Stubhub thing is a joke, and it hasn't changed since a few years ago.
Why, what's happened here? Tell me, Rico, tell me. Let's let rip.
So they did the Fight Pass exclusive thing as they have done before. Apparently, people have bought Fight Pass, couldn't buy tickets. Then myself, one of my mates, and then somebody else were looking to buy tickets for the fight. So logging in before, waiting, took an hour to get there. All the tickets were sold out. My mate got there in 15 minutes to buy the tickets. They were all being sold out. Next thing you know, they're all being touted on StubHub. So again,
Eddie Hearn, you're a fucking low down piece of shit, no good spunk bubble cunt.
Yeah,
fucking hell, man. So he's still fucking doing this with Stubhub.
It's still on StubHub.
They can't fucking help themselves, can they? It's just pure greed, isn't it? So that Fight Pass shit, they're still doing that then? 13 quid a year?
No, it's 30 quid a year.
30 quid a year, sorry, no, it's 30 quid. 13,000 people there were before, they want the paying 30 quid. So that's 390 grand a year. So basically, out of 390 grand, all they've got to do is post off a fucking t-shirt and it costs 50 pence.
So if I want to buy a ticket for, what is it? These were £100 tickets. I'd be paying £430 for a ticket. If I want to buy a £150 ticket, I'll be paying 700 quid for a ticket.
So what they're doing, they're putting all the tickets on there, aren't they?
Yeah, if I want to buy one for the section I got ticket, 60 quid tickets, I'm paying 170 quid for a ticket. You know, it's everything's on StubHub again.
That's wrong, that man. That's so wrong.
No,
and these fuckers, they get away with it, don't they? Fuck! Fucking drives me mad. Eddie, you're a prick. Come see me. We need to put a billboard up and show Eddie up. If anybody's got any good billboard designs that you can send me, one with a dwarf hanging off end of Eddie Hearn's little Corey or something like that, let me know. But I don't know how I'm going to get a license to put out like that up. We'll have to think of something because this is a fucking joke there. I mean, would this be libelous, Rico, if we put a billboard up saying why are Matchroom putting fight tickets on Stubhub and not selling them to fans through Arena? Could you imagine FA Cup final? We're all going to a cup final, Liverpool versus Man City. Oh my God!
I think it's libelous. I think it's libelous because he can't prove it, but you could say, why are all the Matchroom boxing tickets ending up on StubHub?
Yeah, well, this is how I look at it. If cup final, right, tickets were on Stubhub, wouldn't there be a fucking national uproar, wouldn't there, at Wembley? cup final. So why do we have to fucking put up with Joshua fights? Why is it always Joshua fight? Who's pulling fucking strings behind the scenes, mate? It's a fucking joke. Fucking Stubhub. And nobody's mentioning Stubhub. Why ain't Coogan Cassius, Gareth A. Davies, Michelle Joy Felt, Danny fucking Flex, and he's an arse-licking cunt. Or all these other arse-lickers, Fight Eye, all the rest of them, Rob Tebber, Andy Piru, all these fuckers who love boxing. None of these fuckers, Umar, are asking these fuckers about Stubhub. Why not? Coogan, why are you fucking lot not asking about Stubhub, you pricks? Fucking get Eddie Hearn asked about Stubhub. 100 quid tickets, 500 quid with booking fee. You fucking should be ashamed of yourselves, man.
The other problem is, obviously, during the pandemic, StubHub had a rule that if you bought a ticket, you'd have to go with the person from your household to show that you're giving the ticket to them. So they'd have to turn up and show their ID to say they bought the ticket. I know I've been to concerts and they've done the same where somebody else has bought a ticket. They've had to turn up and show that I'm this person. What StubHub does, it encourages this back market, which means that, you know, a lot of people just can't go to boxing events. Why can't it just be fair that people can go on there, buy their tickets if they want to go, if they want to sell it for the same price as you bought it for?
It's so wrong, Rico, isn't it? It's absolutely so wrong. And do you know what? It's died down this last couple of years, this Stubhub. They've not been giving it airtime, have they? But it's crept back again. But I notice he's not mentioning it to anybody in his IFL sermons, is he? Or whatever, DAZN sermons. Eddie, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. I thought Don King were bad, but you know the funny thing is, the more you complain, the more Eddie laughs about it because he's that removed from reality regarding money. He just don't give a fuck about anybody else, does he?
Nope. It's a joke.
Fucking joke.
I think on that note, we're done, but we can talk about StubHub another time.
Yeah, we can. It's only 10 to 11. We've had 50 minutes. I hope you're well, Reek. Oh,
I'm good, thank you.
You have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment.
Yeah, subscribe.
Or otherwise, Porky's going to come and pay you a visit.
Yeah, you have to subscribe, and you have to do it on your computer if it doesn't show you a join button on your iPad. It's not rocket science. All right.
All right, take care, my friend. Cheers.
Peace out.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.